Hey guys, Barrettus here, and welcome back to my Thaumcraft 3 world. So, we're going to be doing something a little bit different today. Probably shouldn't be stepping on pressure plates while I talk, but whatever. Because I've been just a bit slack, a bit preoccupied with life the last few days, so I haven't gotten much work done on this or my Feed the Beast world. Which has been a problem because I feel like there's a lot of work I need to do off camera before I can get in and make another decent episode on both worlds, and I just haven't had the time or the energy to do them at the moment. So that's why we haven't had any videos out, except for a couple of Don't Starve ones, which is something else I need to talk about. But I thought today I might just give you guys a bit of a tour of all the circuitry I did for the, what would you call it, the hidden Golem experiment room area thing. So, yeah, I guess to start off, we've got this door, which is really simple. It's just a piston door setup. No, ignore that. That's the old piston bud switch thing. So, levers there. The circuit goes down here and down, and we might just punch through here. Down here, where it loops around and hits this torch, which inverts all the signals, which goes up here, inverts that one here, and inverts all of these so they're all turned off. And basically it just controls 3 pistons. I've got these timers here to, well, to delay them, and that's how we get the effect where, I'll go back up here, that effect where I'll push the lever and the door will open in the way that it does. Not really an explaining mindset today, am I? Like this, basically. When I made this, my intention was to have, what was it? Yeah, basically that one comes down, this one comes down, that one slides out. That's how I wanted the door to open, not just to have everything fly away. Let me watch it when it comes back. When it comes back wasn't as important, but it was the open that I wanted. I wanted these things to sort of collapse down and then slide out to open. That was... I actually spent a lot of time working out the circuitry and the delays just to get that to work. Purely because I wanted it to do that. It's actually quite pointless beyond just looking different. So let's keep going down here to get to the probably the actual interesting stuff, I'd say. So we have the door lock and a heap of circuitry back there. First of all, we have the door lock, which, as we know, 3 buttons opens the door, and I had to do the same thing here as I did up there with that door. See, I wanted it to open in that way. Have those pull back and then have the entire door open at the same time. So that was fine. And then I also have the override that kills you if you walk in here, or if you hit the wrong combination. So that's fine. So let's have a look at the circuitry for that. Should be able to just knock this bit. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, we have this sort of contained room. And I'm just going to mention now, I actually made all of this in creative mode because it was mostly for a sort of story thing, idea. So I'm actually not going to upload this as Thaumcraft, it's just going to be something like a bonus video, I guess you'd say. So I had to wire this in a way that each switch activated a different note block without triggering another one, which was actually a bit of a challenge. So you can see that block there is the middle row and the side. So that one just goes repeater block, but I can't just do repeater block again because that would block the bottom row. So I had to do, starting from the bottom, I had to use wires here, but it meant I couldn't use a wire in the middle because they would all connect and join up. So I had to do that for the outside ones, and then raise this one up with a repeater, and just run it out to here. That meant that when I got up to here, I couldn't just run the middle block across with a repeater, because it would have been on top of this wire and they would connect. So that's why I have the torch here, inverts it up to here, which inverts it to there, which hits this. That block has to be there because I think that block has to be there. I believe it stops the signal from traveling. Maybe it's the lower signal. It stops one of the signals from traveling somewhere else. I'm fairly sure that one's necessary. Maybe it's not. And then that brings us to the top, which was actually pretty easy. Just 3 torches. Invert them there. And this one out here, which might not have been necessary. I might have been able to just put them all in a line. Can't remember. It's been a while, but that was the idea with the circuits for the door lock. And the idea I had was to make the door lock and have the mechanism for it be separate, because a lot of the times, like if you made this in vanilla, because this is pretty much all vanilla except for the note block interaction, you could just run these cables straight to the actual circuitry for the lock, and you can make these things in vanilla in the exact same way I've made it here. But that's the flaw with these, is it's really easy for someone to just bash their way through a wall and like break your circuitry, and then your door's broken. So the idea I had was hook them all up to note blocks, give each one a different note, and then put the actual circuitry system somewhere else. Somewhere in, say, a room completely surrounded by watered stone. Which I didn't get to doing for this one, but that was the concept anyway. So that brings us over here to the actual circuitry. Now, let me think. Looks a bit complex, I think. Well, it does to me. And it is a little bit. I've mostly ended up throwing it together to fit it all in this room. But, alright. Let's see now. This is set up to be okay. So we have this arcane ear here, and this is great actually. This was finally a use for the arcane ear, and like an actual useful point to using them, not just, oh, I'm just going to use arcane ears because I can, just to say I've used them. The idea being that you would encase this room in watered stone, no one else could access your wiring, so no one could tamper with your lock. So we have an arcane here, and I think it's this one and that one. These ones are the 3 note blocks connected to the 3 correct buttons for the door lock. So when you hit each of them, it hits this RS latch and swaps it around. So you see it swaps it to that, so this one would activate, and then this one would activate when you hit the next switch, and then finally this one here would activate. They all connect to an AND gate, a 3-way AND gate. So once all 3 are turned on, these 3 torches turn off, which means this wire turns off, which means this torch turns on, and power is sent this way to the door, and this way to the reset. So the door is simply just another piston door. So I had to wire it up here. Why is it wired at the top here? Because there's pistons there that push the totem forward. So this was the same thing where we needed repeaters, you can see here. So when it turns off, this wire here turns off first, meaning these pistons retract. Then the delay goes through here and turns these ones off, which pulls the piston and the obsidian totem across to the wall here. And when they activate, they don't need to be in order, because this wire activates first, but the piston isn't there, so it doesn't extend. However, when these ones activate, they push these out, and immediately that piston gets a signal, activates, and pushes the block out. So that's fine. It's only the retracting that needs to be correctly timed. And then we have down here, whoop, if I can get down here. Down here is just the bottom one, which quite simply is just two pistons that push the bottom totems up and then pull them down. That one was very simple. So, let's see. I guess that leads us to the reset. So this torch, when our AND gates are off, when all the signals come through, the torch inverts, which inverts this torch, which means all those pistons turn off and open the door. And then this one here inverts and sends a signal down this line of repeaters to here, where they turn around and run all the way back and hit this block, and the note on this block here is the reset note, which gets sent to this arcane ear and this arcane ear. So they both receive that note, send a signal down here, and must be down. Yeah, it should be down there and down there. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, no, that's right, yeah. So it sends the signals down there, that switches all these RS latches back to their off position and resets the lock. So that's how the lock works when you activate it properly. Now when you push a button that isn't part of the combination, that's what these ears here are. So these are all the notes, these are all the buttons that aren't part of the combination. So you push any of them, sends a signal to here, inverts this, which goes up here. Now this is a rapid pulsar, just your basic vanilla rapid pulsar setup. Torch on either side of the two blocks, wires in a cross between them, and they'll just pulse rapidly. So by sending a signal through it, this is how it's turned off. So a constant signal goes through here and deactivates that. However, if let's see, I'll cut that, and you see now the pulsar goes off, firing them. So I'm going to waste a bunch of arrows showing this off, but whatever. So all that does is connect to the top repeaters, top dispensers, middle dispensers through these repeaters, and then the bottom ones, which are repeater to a block to a torch to invert these ones. And I've set them up in such a way that, well, actually no, these ones are receiving power, the top two, and these ones aren't, but because it's a rapid pulsar, it doesn't matter. As long as they're receiving a constant state, they're not going to keep firing, but once it starts flickering, that's when they'll start firing. So that was easy enough to set up. And then the same thing as before, basically that activates and hits this RS latch, which turns off the constant signal to the rapid pulsar and starts firing arrows. While that's happening, this latch is switched, which sends power down this string of repeaters, which hits here, hits this and resets that latch, and also sends a signal down there and resets our notes again, which also, I believe, resets. Oh no, yeah, just resets the combination. So that way, the reason that it resets the combination is because otherwise you could, if you were armored like I am, and just did not care about the arrows, you could just stand there, push every button, and the door would open. However, the way it is now, if you press the wrong button, it resets the combination, which means you have to try again. And that's what sort of protects it. Otherwise, it's not very secure. It's just a trapped door, basically. So, yeah, I think that's all the wiring. Really? Ah, yeah, and then we've got up here, we've got... That's the button on the inside of the base. So you push that, it just sends 3 notes out, which hits all 3 doors, all 3 combinations, and opens the door and just runs through like you would if you opened it from the outside. So that's that. So let's see. I'll go out here and just to sort of demonstrate, I guess, how the latches work. So if I hit 1, 2, 3, door opens, and then the timer goes off and the door closes. You could hear that note then, maybe? So you hear 1 note, 2 notes, 3 notes, correct combination, door opens. That note there is the reset that closes the door, resets the combination. So now if I hit 1, 2, but not 3, and we go back here, we should be able to see 2 of these will be flipped. Yeah, see this one here? This latch has now flipped, which means this torch of the AND gate is off, and this latch is also flipped, so this one's off. But because we haven't hit the last button in the combination, the lock hasn't been opened. So now if I went back out here and I hit the wrong button, it triggers the trap. And you hear that note then, that was the reset. And it resets everything. So now if we go back here, all the AND gate combinations are back to on. So it's pretty basic. It took me a while to work out, but that's because I hadn't dealt with Redstone and RS latches and AND gates and such in quite a while. And adding the arcane ears and having to sort of right click them to get them to the right frequency and stuff just made it a little bit more difficult. But I was quite happy with it when it finished. Worked out quite well. It definitely serves its purpose. No golems are going to get through that door. If they try, they're going to die. So I'll put these back. And I did have someone mention putting a tripwire along here instead of the pressure plates, which could be a good idea, but I don't like using them because you have to put like a hole in the wall on either side, which seems just as obvious as pressure plates. So I'm just going to hover over there. Just put some of these back in here just to get these away. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's the combination lock and all the wiring for that. And like I said, that's the reset that just goes up to 3 note blocks. So it just instantly puts in the combination basically and unlocks the door from the inside. And I did have a few questions from some of you guys about who was Gary and where is he. I had to spawn him in twice and he kept disappearing and I had no idea why. Like these guys in here. Oh wow, now 3 of them. All of them have disappeared too. What the hell? I wouldn't have thought a zombie would spawn in here, and I didn't think passive mobs would despawn, but whatever, they're gone now. I couldn't work out why until I came in here and looked at the crucibles and saw they have 2 meat in each of them. So yeah, I think that solves the mystery of where Gary keeps going. It was probably this guy here, look at him. He looks evil. They all look evil. They're staring with their red eyes. So yeah, that'll probably do for this one, guys. Just tried to get something out because I haven't gotten many videos out lately, and sorry about that. Oh, I almost forgot. One more thing I can show you. So we've got the arrow testing machine. So say that's a single shot, turn it on. Hmm. Why isn't that? That's supposed to fire in a slow rate of fire. I wonder if the rapid fire is working. Well, the rapid fire is working. Set to single. It fires one arrow. Okay, that's broken, so... Bugger. Let's see, I think I can bash through here? Yeah. Kind of, okay. Through there. Yeah, okay. We're in. Now, this thing isn't working properly now for some reason. And I really sort of hacked this one together. If this was like a code base, it would be just messy. Hacked together, horrible. But it works, which was all I was really interested in. This was the last thing I made before I made the video. It was late at night, and why do I keep getting stuck on that block? It was late at night, and I was just trying to get it to work. So let's see if I can figure out how to explain this. As you can see, there's wires leading to nowhere where I just... Why is that? Yeah, I had it set up one way and it wasn't working, so then I set up this over-the-top wire, which actually got it working well enough. So basically, let's see. Here we have this repeater turns on the gun, turns on the turret. These wires on either side are the settings for the single shot, which is this one here, and the rapid fire, which is that one. So I'm going to break that so I can walk over that. There we go. So when you set the single shot, it goes down to this RS latch, flips this, which actually looking at it right now does absolutely nothing. So that's good. All that does is turn off this line here, which goes to this AND gate, and also goes up here and along to this point here. So by turning that off, yeah, now I remember how this works. I think. And here's why the single shot isn't working. This is a 5 clock that's stuck. That is exactly why. As long as this is pulsing, this is the single shot. So because this isn't pulsing, that's why we'd only get one shot. So break that, replace it. There we go. Okay. That'll work now. So basically when you have it set to single shot, it turns off this AND gate, or it puts a positive signal into this side of the AND gate. And then when you turn on the turret, the wire along the top here, so along to here, down here, hits this side of the AND gate, turns this on, which then turns on this AND gate, and this AND gate runs directly into the piston, into the dispenser, which is above this block, I believe. Yeah, above that block. So once that is off, this will invert when the pulse comes down here from the 5 clock. So every time the 5 clock rotates, then it sends a pulse, shoots an arrow. So that's how we get the slow single shot fire mode. So then once you press, let's see, yeah, then when you press rapid fire, it will send a signal down here, inverts the single shot's RS latch, which means it turns off the single shot. So once the single shot's turned off, that means that this up here, this line up here then turns off, which means the only signal coming down this line is coming from our switch. So then once we turn the switch on, to turn the turret on, signal comes down here, inverts here, turns off this one as well. So this basically is like a ghetto AND gate, I guess you'd say. It's basically functions as an AND gate or like an inverted AND gate or something, but I don't know, I'll have to look into that later. But yeah, inverts that, which turns this off, so now they're both off, which means the rapid pulsar can fire. The rapid pulsar just connects directly into the dispenser. So that's how that works. Then when you hit the other button, that flicks this gate, which once again allows single shot AND gates to function and sets a constant power through here and disables the rapid pulsar. So that's how that works, if you could follow my disjointed and rambly explanation. But now that I've fixed that 5 o'clock, single shot should work again. Yeah. There we go. So let's go in here and have a look at this now. So the latch is set, which means, see, now that the turret is on, this is inverted, so this is off, but because we have the single shot turned on, this one still sends power, which means the rapid pulsar is still disabled. There was also a bit of playing around with the wire distances here to ensure that when one of these is turned on, power only reaches to here and doesn't reach the dispenser. Otherwise it would be locked to a powered state and the single shot wouldn't work at all. Took me a little while to work that one out, but that's how that works. So you can see now the switch is on, single shot is set, so this AND gate activates, sends power to here, which activates this AND gate when the 5 o'clock triggers. And single shot. So that's that. Now if we go out here and turn on rapid fire, and that's the beauty of this too, is that you don't have to turn it off to change anything. You can swap it mid firing. So if we go up here, we see now this one's off because the switch is off. Oh no, this one's off because the switch is on. This one's off because now that we've turned on rapid fire, this RS latch is swapped. So now the rapid pulsar is free to fire as much as it wants. And that's the reason for these. Another reason for these two here is that they stop the backflow of the signal, which otherwise would backflow down here and start swapping around the RS latches, and it would just mess up the whole system. So that runs like that. And you look over here now that these RS latch is swapped, this is off, which means even though the trigger is on for the turret, the AND gate is off, which means the single shot 5 pulsar can't activate because this side is always off. So even though the 5 o'clock's still running, no signal gets through. So that's how that works as well. And we're just about at arrows now. There you go. Okay, so that's that. I'll just get these back in place. There, brown block there. So yeah, alright, this has ended up being a fairly long episode, or video. Not really an episode for Thaumcraft, just a explanation-y video. There's your tune and then it stops. So yeah, I just wanted to get something out, guys, because I feel like I need to get a lot more building done before I can make another Thaumcraft episode. Otherwise it's just going to be another episode of me placing stone blocks around here, and we've done that once. I'm going to run out of stuff to talk about if I just keep doing that. So yeah, I need to get myself motivated and actually get the walls built up on this so that we can start doing other fun stuff. And it's kind of the same in Feed the Beast. I need to get the underground area hollowed out before I can start setting up the power station. But yeah, I've been meaning to do this for a while, so now you guys have a bit of an idea of how that all works. And yeah, hope that helps you out. I don't know if anyone was really interested in seeing how that worked, but now if anyone is, you can have a look at this video and you'll know. It's all pretty straightforward, I think, but it's nice to have a reference for how everything works. So that'll do for this one, guys. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.